All right, let's walk through the creation of an episode of the Trust Insights podcast. First thing we're going to do, go into StreamYard, and we need to get the episode. Going to go ahead here and hit download. And we're going to download two things. We're going to download the video recording, and then we're also going to download the individual audio recordings. The reason for this is that Katie and I have different microphones, and we're going to want to make them sound as close to the same as possible. Other things you're going to need while this is downloading. You're going to need to log into YouTube, to our Libsyn account, which is where we post the audio files, to the website, to our Canva account, and to Otter. These are the 5 major tools that we'll be using for the production and distribution. You'll need a copy of Adobe Premiere from Creative Cloud and a copy of Adobe Audition. You'll also want a notepad of some kind. I'm using Joplin, but use the development editor of your choice. So our files have downloaded, and what you're going to notice here is, I put this over here. There's 2 audio tracks, and then there's the video track. So let's go ahead and just dump these into Premiere. We're going to start a new project called TI Podcast. And we're going to hit replace on that, since that there's an existing one. And I'm going to take my files, and I'm going to take my video file in first. Let that import. There's also a closing bumper. I'm going to want to bring that in as well. And before I edit the audio files and put them into Premiere, I need to clean them up. So let's go ahead and go into, take each of these things and put them into Audition. So let's go to Adobe Audition. You'll notice that these 2 waveforms look very different, right? They look qualitatively different. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to use our compressor, use a tube model compressor. And what this thing does is it allows us to adjust our gain and make it sound like a bigger, more rich sound. And then we're going to do the same thing on Katie's file. I have a shortcut setup that does exactly the same thing, but that's the tube model compressor. So now these files should, you can see they look a bit beefier. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure match loudness is set here. I'm going to drag each of these files into the match loudness. Make sure this is set to the ITU 1770 loudness spec. And we're going to make sure that the target loudness is -16 LUFS. This is the audio standard for in-vehicle radio. So if you want your sound to have that car talk radio host sound, that's where you want it to go. So this is going to now go through and optimize both files, and you'll see a difference in the waveforms and in the spectrograms as each file is tuned up. Okay, great. See how that's now nice and sort of almost blocky? That's what we want. I'm going to hit save on both of these files. And now we are done with Audition, so we can close that out. We're going to take those 2 audio files, bring them into Premiere. Next, let's go ahead and make the menu bar go away here. We're going to create ourselves a new sequence. And this is going to be called TI Podcast. This is SEO Future Trends 2023. You'll want to copy and paste that name just to have it handy. I'll put that in my notebook here. And I'm going to paste that in just like that. And then I'm going to, just for keeping parts, I'm going to write this out. In-ear insights. This is going to be the episode. I believe the keyword we chose was, do you have to be an SEO expert in 2023? That's going to be in this episode. We're going to write this out now. In this episode, Katie and Chris discuss the evolution of SEO and where it's going, where AI and machine learning fit in, and what trends to be aware of as you create content and optimize it for search in 2023. Tune in to learn more. So that's our description, which is going to be both goes into YouTube and into the blog post itself. Now let's go back to Premiere. So we've got our sequence here. This sequence, if we look at the sequence settings, should be 1080 HD. So our sequence settings is HDV 1080p. That is the format that we want this to be in. Okay, so let's go ahead and put our audio and video file, the audio on track 1. We're now going to take my audio, put it on track 2, and Katie's audio and put it on track 3. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to right-click here and we're going to choose Synchronize. And Adobe Audition should take all 3 tracks and line them up, which is a good thing because this is a pain otherwise. It looks like it did that successfully. Let's go ahead and zoom in and put on our headphones and just give a listen, make sure it sounds okay, it looks okay. Good. I'm going to make sure the track 1 is muted because it's the StreamYard audio. It's not the cleaned up audio. I'm going to go to the beginning of this track here, and I'm going to zoom into about a 1 second view. Hit C on the keyboard to cut. I'm going to chop off so that we have a nice even beginning here. And then I'm going to choose Ripple Delete. This will bring the video to the front of the timeline. Scroll all the way to the end and do the exact same thing at the end. So we're going to just chop off the end here, make that look nice. Take that out. And I'm going to take our closer, make sure that audio for the closer is not on track 1 because it's muted. Ripple Delete here. This looks good. Next, I'm going to choose our main video track. I'm going to go to Lumetri Color. I'm going to do Auto Color Correction. This is going to make sure that the colors look okay, that they don't look too strange. That makes that look nice. And then I'm going to use a set of effects here. The effects are to, let's see, where's our effects browser? I'm going to do video transition with dissolves in and out. This is going to allow for that nice sort of fade in, fade out. So you can see those effects. If I zoom to the very beginning of the timeline, constant power audio, and then the film dissolve in. That makes it look, nice. Okay, so we have the video, we have the audio. We're going to hit save because we want to save this, and we're going to hit export. I'm going to choose 1080p as my export, and there's my file name. And now we wait for this to export. While this is doing that, I'm going to go over to Canva. I'm going to go ahead and make myself our card. Now, I have written this out, but we go back to our notes that we were looking at earlier. Do you need to be an expert? Do you need to be an expert? Actually, expert in 2023. And this is our Canva. Let's go ahead and hit share. I'm going to download this and download the PNG of it. Now that should be, if I go to our Finder browser, this is the end result. Do you need to be an SEO expert? We're going to save that graphic. I would say just store it on the desktop of your computer. That'd be the easiest place to put it. And so there's our graphic. Okay, you can close Canva. We don't need it anymore. Okay, our export is done. We're going to go ahead and just close the Premiere window right now. We're going to come back to Premiere because we're going to need to do some stuff in it a little bit. Next, find our video file on the desktop, and you can we're going to go to Otter. You can convert this to an MP3 in a couple of different ways. I use the command line FFmpeg tool, which is super fast. You can open this file up in Audition and save it as an MP3. So let's go take a look at what that would look like. Let's see, where is Audition? This is less efficient, and it does create a slightly more bloated file, but if you don't have the FFmpeg tools kit, it's harder. So let's go ahead and export. We're going to export this file. I'm going to choose our format as MP3. That looks good. And 192, let's change that. This doesn't need to be that resolution. It can be 128 because it's spoken word. And high quality. There you go. Yes, that's fine. I know it's lossless. Okay, so this has been converted to an MP3. Question is, where did Audition put it? There it is. It was in my documents folder. I'm gonna take off that 01 on the end. Don't like that. Okay, now we're gonna do a quick spot check. Video looks good. Audio sounds good. Okay, so we've got the video and the audio file. We're gonna now take this audio file, we're gonna drop it into Otter and let it do its transcription. Gonna go ahead and close that for now. I actually had this transcript done the other day, so let's go ahead and open that up because it's exactly the same. We're going to do two things here. First, we're going to export the SRT file. So make sure the SRT is chosen here, hit export. Next, we're going to go back to that menu, choose export again. Now choose TXT. Make sure that this is combine all paragraphs is not checked, but remove Otter branding is checked. And you'll get a file that looks like this. We're going to hit export on that. Okay, so we've now got our transcripts and stuff and our closed captions. Our next step is going to go to YouTube. We're going to choose upload. And we're going to take our files that we just generated. So I'm going to go to my desktop here, going to find my MP4, which is our video file, put it in. I'm going to go back to my notes here. I'm going to choose this as my title. I'm going to choose this as my and then I have a shortcut keyboard that be essentially the advertising. Take note of this YouTube URL. We're going to take that, bring it back to our notebook, and copy it. Put it there. Okay, next, our thumbnail. We're going to load our thumbnail. Our thumbnail, the SEO expert file. That looks nice. We're going to choose, this is the podcast. Now, there's a particular, like, make sure it is checked as well. Click done there. I'm going to hit show more here and look at tags and keywords. Common tag keywords here. This is a show about SEO, right? But it also mentions machine learning, AI, artificial intelligence, Google. All right. So we've got some tags there. This is English. The recording date we're going to specify was recorded on the 24th. Standard YouTube license. Category is education. Hold potentially inappropriate comments. You hit next. Subtitles. We're going to hit add upload file. I'm going to choose the file with timing and find my SRT file that we just downloaded from Otter. Just hit play quickly. We can see the captions there. That looks good. Okay, we're going to hit next. Copyright check we can ignore. We're going to choose schedule, and the day of release is typically Wednesdays. Just choose Wednesday. I leave it at 12 a.m. Just so that it is available. Hit schedule. So now our video is staged. Next, we're going to go to Libsyn, to the podcast. Make sure we're on In-Ear Insights. We're going to choose new episode. Now we're going to go back to our downloads here. We're going to find our MP3 file, drop that in, wait for Libsyn to recognize it. Okay, Libsyn has recognized it. We're going to put in our title that we wrote up earlier. We're going to put in our description that we wrote in earlier. And we're going to use that exact same shortcut from YouTube to put our stuff in like this into the podcast description. Our optional details for our widescreen art. Let's close one of these. You don't need that. And then take our art and drop it in. And we're going to choose, instead of publish now, we're going to choose schedule. We're going to choose tomorrow. And then instead of 1:20 p.m., we're at 1:20 a.m. I like to schedule for about 1 a.m., so about an hour after the video. No particular reason. I just like having it available early in the day. I'm going to go ahead and hit publish. The video should now be published, or the audio should be published and ready to release on the drop time. We're going to take this direct traffic, direct download URL. We're going to copy that because we're going to need that for our blog post. We're going to paste that into this document here. Okay, next we need to close out Libsyn. We're done with it. We can also close out YouTube. It's processing, so we are done with it. We're going to go to our podcast here. We're going to first add media. And what we're going to do is we're going to add in our header image. Just let that upload. Okay, that's now available. Next, we're going to go create a new post. The title of the blog post, unsurprisingly, is what we wrote out earlier. We're going to paste in our description. Now, I have another keyboard shortcut that fills out essentially this template here. These are short codes, of course, in WordPress, not a big deal. We're going to go back to our notebook now, get our YouTube URL, copy that, and replace the YouTube URLs in the template. Now go back to our notebook, get our MP3 URL, copy that, replace that. 1, 2. Scroll down, go to audio file, paste the audio file there, and this iTunes episode full. That's all that configured. Next, we're going to choose SEO Expert. I believe that's what is in the our document. Okay, so we've got our thing there, and now we're going to edit our snippet, and you need to be an SEO expert or not. Okay, I'm going to take that now that's got the key phrase we're going after, paste that here, our snippet. SEO expert, SEO expert. That looks good. So we've now got our video files, our audio files. Now we just need to put the transcript in. I'm going to switch over to visual mode. And then I'm going to open up my transcript in BBEdit. BBEdit is a text editor. I'm going to do 2 things. I have a pre-written script that will convert these huge walls of text into into individual sentences and put 2 hashes before our names. So I'm going to copy this, save it, and then go into my notebook. I have this page called PodRaw. I'll paste this in here. What you'll see this do is it turns it into a nice formatted text. I'm going to copy all that, take it over into WordPress, and now here I'm going to paste it right in on the formatted side. And you can now see we have some nice section headings for each time Katie and I talk. This helps our site associate our names with the Trust Insights website. So I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to choose my categories. So we do talk about artificial intelligence. We talk about marketing. We do talk about machine learning. And now we're going to scroll down to the podcast category. That is the main category. I'm going to scroll down a bit further here. I'm going to choose my featured image, the image I just loaded up. And I'm going to copy the title right into the alt text. This looks good. I'm going to change my publish date. So this is going to come out on the 26th. I'm going to set it roughly around 8:30 a.m. when I set these things. Okay. I'm going to hit the schedule button now. So we have our short codes. We have our video, our audio, our transcript, our header image. All this looks good. Hit schedule. Now, the next thing we need to do is make the social posts. So we're going to minimize our browser. We can close. We're going to let's minimize this for right now. We're going to go back to Premiere. Let's go back into Adobe Premiere, just get it loaded. I'm going to open up our project that we were just in. And now I want my project menu up here. I'm going to go to my desktop. I'm going to find the SRT file. I'm going to drag it right in. There's my SRT file. I drag this onto the timeline using the source timecode as the start point. This is going to put in captions, right? So we can see. So we can see this. Now, what do we do with this? We scroll down through the captions and just find something. I typically choose Katie as the person who I want to make the clip from. So I'll read through the text here and see if there's any one part where I think is a particularly strong point that Katie was making. All right, so we're going to start here. So this is 9:22. You can see that timestamp. I'm going to choose mark in. Now I'm going to scroll down for about 50 seconds. So I'm going to look for 10:22 or thereabouts and look for a natural gap, right? So here's a natural gap. Let's close this up a little bit so it's easy to see. There's a natural gap at the end of this section before I start speaking, right about here. I'm going to choose mark out. So that's going to give me about a 40-second, 50-second clip. I'm going to choose export. And this is, you'll see the -1 on the end. That's good. I'm going to choose this down to 720. It doesn't need to be 1080. This is just for social media previews. Okay, so our export is done. Hit save, and now we can close out of Premiere. We're not going to need to use Premiere again. Our next step is going to go to a couple different places. First, we're going to want to bring up Agorapulse. So let's go ahead into Agorapulse and all right. So we're in Agorapulse. I'm going to choose the publish menu. I'm going to choose video. And I'm going to find that video that we just created, that little, the short snippet right there. That's going to go onto here. I'm going to go back to our notebook in Joplin. I'm going to start writing out the text for social posts. So in this week's in here, #insights, the @trustinsights #podcast, because we want to check up on those terms. At Katie Robert and at CS Penn discuss #SEO, major trends, what at Google has been up to, and whether you need to be an SEO expert or not. Tune in. Okay. That's going to be our social snippet. I forgot we need to get the URL from the website. So go back to our scheduled post. And we're just going to copy that link address. Go back to our notebook. There is our URL. So we're going to copy that, and that's going to go back over to Agorapulse. That is our text. That's going to be for both LinkedIn and for Twitter. Looks good. Hashtags are in place. Schedule. And I'm going to choose our date, which is going to be the 26th. Our time, which will be 9 a.m. Social post should be the last thing that go up after everything else is available. So that's going to go in and schedule. So now this is scheduled for LinkedIn and for Twitter. Going to close this out. Go to the Trust Insights TikTok account. Or whatever strange thing going to be showing us today. Going to do our video upload again. Find our short snippet. And now our caption is going to be, do you need to be an SEO? Let it hide up as hashtag expert in 2023. Hashtag 2023. Find out in this podcast. So visit trustinsights.ai/TI podcast for the full thing. Okay, that's our slug. You can see we only have 150 characters to work with, so try and get at least 3 hashtags in. that are relevant. I'm going to schedule this video. Our scheduled date is the 26th, and our time is going to be 9 a.m. Okay, I'm going to hit schedule, and now that is all set. The last piece is Instagram, and this piece has to be done from one of the mobile devices. So I'm going to skip that for right now because A, I can't screen share off of my mobile device right now, and B, it has to be on a mobile device that has the Trust Insights account on it. But essentially, it's exactly what we just did with TikTok, only we do it as a reel and as a story. We also do a YouTube short as well, which again, I do from the mobile device because creating a short on the mobile device is really easy. So that's the process from beginning to end for creating the podcast from the existing content. It takes 30 to 40 minutes, depending, as long as you remember everything and all the different pieces.